I just wanted my cheese. What is up, poopy pants? Den here. So I gotta admit something to you guys. I kinda lied to you a little bit. Last week, I only showed you half of what I recorded. I did a really funny thing to where I talked for far too long. I am a certified yapopotamus, I tell you what. Originally, last week's video was gonna be what I love and what I hate about the Gibson Les Paul. So instead of having one video that's like half an hour long, I figured I might as well just cut it in half. So we're gonna cut back to me last week when I had my Superman jersey on. And this time I'm gonna talk about everything I don't like about the Gibson Les Paul. Okay? Okay. Yes, I do love me a good Les Paul, but I'm also real, and I am very well aware that Les Pauls kinda suck in their own unique way. Here are the worst things about Les Pauls. For starters, and this is probably the easiest and most obvious one, is the price of Gibson Les Pauls. It starts off dumb, and it only gets dumber. The current entry point for a brand new Gibson Les Paul is $1,400. And the Gibson Les Paul you get for that price looks like what I imagine the skeleton of a Gibson Les Paul would be. And on the other side of this spectrum of hilarious levels of greed, we have Gibson Les Pauls that can easily go over $10,000 just because they were hand circumcised by Tom Murphy or some dumb shit like that. And these Gibson collectors, they just eat this shit up. Like, can you guys not tell you're being taken advantage of? And if you're privileged enough to be able to regularly, casually drop tens of thousands of dollars on a hunk of wood, then you're kind of just a bad person. I'm not talking about the fucking dentist that just buys like one Murphy Lab one time in their life. Like, regularly buying these Les Pauls that cost $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, kind of a piece of shit. I'm sorry, but what's that thing you guys always say? Facts don't care about your feelings? There you go. And it's one thing if you actually use those instruments to make music, but if you buy these things and then you just leave them in the case, why? What are you doing? You spent $50,000 just for it to sit there? Go fuck yourself. Okay, moving on. Another thing, they are heavy and clunky. That's another big one. Yeah, playing a Gibson Les Paul is kind of like trying to play a dump truck. They aren't very ergonomic. Actually, saying that would imply that they're ergonomic at all. And Les Paul people, for some reason, usually want them as heavy as they could possibly be because they're convinced that that makes them sound better. This slipped disc in my back makes the tone better. Trust me, bro. I don't know, there's not much else to say about this topic. They're just really clunky, they're not ergonomic at all, and a lot of them are like comically heavy. It truly is the Dodge Charger of guitars. Like, goddamn are they cool, but they are also cruise ships. Another bad thing about Les Pauls are the necks. There are a lot of Les Paul players who are, for lack of a better term, size queens. They like those really thick baseball bat necks. However, I genuinely hate fat guitar necks. I'm not a fat shamer in any way, shape, or form, but fat guitar necks can go fuck themselves. Disrespectfully. Some guys, for some reason, want to be holding Brickzilla in their left hand. These guys want them big, vascular, and throbbing. I, however, do not. It hurts my hands. So it genuinely bums me out when I pick up a Les Paul and it has a California redwood for a neck, because it almost completely ruins the playing experience for me. I can't play as fast, I can't play as aggressive, feels like I can't move around on the neck as easy, and since I'm just naturally like stretching my hand out a bit more, it causes my hand to cramp up a lot faster. I don't know, I hate fat necks. I think they are objectively the worst. That is my subjective opinion, but I'm telling you it is an objective fact because they suck. Another thing that sucks about Gibson Les Pauls are the headstocks. Yes, they look good, but practically speaking, they suck. Having the strings break off at an angle at the break angle is just atrocious for tuning stability. And also, for whatever reason, Gibson has been incredibly stubborn about having the headstock angle at like 90 degrees. It's so dumb. Like, it has been proven that the angle does not need to be that crazy. But Gibson's like, nope, I want these necks to look like they have scoliosis. It looks cool, but it's just a dumb design, and they've just left it like that because tradition or some stupid shit. And because of that dumbass headstock angle, we have our next thing that sucks about Gibson Les Pauls. They're fragile, much like a podcast bro or someone who is way too obsessed with the Second Amendment. A Gibson Les Paul looks tough, but they break almost as easily as crayons. You look at a Gibson headstock the wrong way and it's gonna break. Like, it's not a stigma or a stereotype. It's just a thing that happens with Gibson Les Pauls. In fact, there's like a thing to where if you break your Les Paul headstock and then you glue it back together, the headstock is gonna be stronger than it was when you originally broke it. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I don't know why I like these things. Another thing I don't like is the short scale length of a Gibson Les Paul. 24.75 is a stumpy ass guitar. Yes, it feels really good for vibrato and like solo stuff like that, but man, I want to play belligerently stupid riffs in double drop D on a Honeyburst Les Paul or a white Les Paul Custom. Is that really too much to ask for? Why can't we get some of these classic looking Les Pauls that are just like 28, 29, 30-inch baritones, or 27-inch 7 strings, or 28-inch 8 strings? Why is Gibson being such a little bitch about extended range Les Pauls? Like, you are just restricting your own access from this whole other niche of guitar players that would love to have extended range Les Pauls. I mean, honestly, I don't care if Gibson doesn't make them because they're way too expensive anyway, but like Epiphone. We need more Epiphone 7 strings. We need more Epiphone baritones. We need an Epiphone 8 string. Like, get with it, guys, please. I made like 4 videos about this already. Just nut up and do it, please. Another negative about Gibson Les Pauls is the pretentiousness surrounding them. Jesus Christ, it is the dog-ass worst. Like I said earlier, the prices of Gibson Les Pauls tend to attract some egomaniacs because those kind of people are convinced that paying more money for something just automatically makes it better. And by golly, I tell you what, it does not. However, Gibson Les Paul people would beg to differ. So many Gibson Les Paul people base their entire worth off of the fact that they own a Gibson Les Paul. And I tell you what, these people are obsessed with the smell of their own farts. It's so cringe and it's so embarrassing as a fellow Les Paul fan. Can't you just like the guitars without thinking that owning one makes you God's gift to the world? Like, congratulations, you spent way too much money on a guitar. Why are you blowing yourself? This kind of behavior doesn't make sense to me because another downside of owning a Gibson Les Paul is the guilt that I feel owning 2 of them. I really don't feel that guilty about owning my studio because it was only like $1,100 when I bought it, but I spent $2,500 on my Gibson Les Paul. And to this day, I still don't know if I should have done that. I don't know, I just feel this sense of guilt over owning this guitar. Like, why do I own a material possession that's that expensive, you know? Like, most Americans don't even have $1,000 in their bank account, and I spent more than double that on what is essentially a toy. Like, I know it can be used as a tool to make music, but, you know, it's not like a car or a house or anything like that. And like, the reason I was able to buy a Gibson Les Paul Standard is just because I got really lucky. And I said, I might as well fucking do this because I'm probably not gonna have the chance to again for a very long time. So I sent it and I did it and I absolutely love it, but Jesus Christ, did I spend a lot of money on that thing. I still feel kind of guilty about it. Another poo-poo thing about Gibson Les Pauls is the quality control, or lack thereof. Oh boy, Den's gonna talk about Gibson's quality control again. What a shocker that is. I wonder what he's gonna say. Yeah, it's dookie, it's doo-doo feces, it's poop from a butt. When you get a good one, it's crazy, it's a really special thing, but holy shit, the price you pay for these guitars compared to the ratio of good to bad Gibson Les Pauls there are, it's kind of embarrassing for Gibson. For the company, not for people who buy them. Well, I guess it's kind of embarrassing for people who buy them if you get a bad one, because then you're just huffing copium for the rest of your life trying to convince yourself that the $3,000 you spent on this guitar was worth it, even though it's a lemon. And they'll like jack up the prices for dumb shit. Like, they'll say you get a better top for like a $500 premium, and sometimes that's just not true. Like, I spent $2,500 on mine, and I was lucky enough to get a really, really good top with mine. There are people who will pay $3,300 for a Gibson Les Paul with the promise that it's gonna come with a really nice top, and they could get something that almost looks like a plain top. It's fucking crazy. It's next level silliness. They really got to do something about their quality control. I've yapped about that in like almost every single one of my videos, so I'm not going to go that crazy with it right now, but Gibson's quality control is embarrassing. Jesus Christ. Another downside about owning a Gibson Les Paul is you are associated with the brand Gibson, and my God, do they do some evil billion-dollar corporate shenanigans. Again, I've yapped about this at length in other videos, so I'm not gonna go too crazy about it, but it gives me the ick. It makes me feel icky being associated with a billion-dollar corporation that acts the way Gibson does. It feels like the two Gibson Les Pauls that I own are like my seal of approval on their behavior, and it absolutely is not. The embarrassing levels of litigiousness and just the dickhead way they act around other brands, ugh, it's gross. I hate it. I don't want to be associated with that kind of behavior, and I hate that that kind of behavior is associated with the brand that I dreamt about owning as I was a kid. Like, it's a real never meet your heroes kind of situation. Like, I got a Gibson Les Paul right around the time I realized they do some really gross stuff, and I don't like the way they conduct themselves. Really yucks my yum. You know what I'm saying? Okay, there's really only like two things I missed that I'm just gonna cover real quick right now. When I was talking about Gibson being a litigious little goblin, I'm mostly referring to them being the stingiest motherfucker alive when it comes to their guitar shapes, or really just anything on their guitars. Like, if your single cut shape is like a centimeter too close to looking too much like a Gibson Les Paul, Gibson's gonna send the private military corporation they hired to break your front door down and hold your wife at gunpoint while they hold up a picture of your design and be like, care to explain? Just because the cutout looked a little too similar to a Les Paul if you squint your eyes hard enough and don't think about it. And you know what really pisses me off about Gibson's litigiousness is all the little Gibson meat riders that try their little heart out to defend it. They'll be like, oh, Gibson, they have to sue people. They have to ruin people's lives. They gotta protect their copyright. And no, actually, they don't. Fender's Stratocaster and Telecaster shapes are public domain, if you didn't know that. Which is why literally everyone makes a Strat or a Telecaster. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm pretty sure Fender is doing a lot better than Gibson is these days. I feel like Gibson spends way too much time, effort, and money making sure no one else gets to use their exact body shapes, or the Headstock Diamond, or the Headstock Pineapple, or all this other stupid shit. They spend so much effort making sure no one else gets to use that stuff instead of making sure that their guitars are just as good as they overhype them to be. These guys literally say only a Gibson is good enough. According to the comments in a lot of my videos, a lot of people still prefer the LTDs or the Schecters or the Jacksons or the Edwards or the Made in Japan Les Pauls or PRS or Fender. Like, Gibson's worrying about the wrong thing. This is probably the most important message that Gibson needs to learn. Focus on yourself. Mind your own business. You're so worried about what everyone else is doing that you're not focused on what you're doing, and that, I'm pretty sure that's where your quality control issues come from. It's stupid. I'm getting annoyed. And the more angry I get, the less coherent I become, so I think we're gonna have to wrap up the video right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed, especially if you made it this far. As always, make sure you go down there and leave a comment. I love to hear what you guys have to say. Share the video around, show that like button, the best night it's ever had in its life. And if you regularly watch my channel and you haven't already subscribed, then Gibson's just gonna keep raising the prices of their guitars. I figured it out. I did the math. Every time one of you non-subscribees watches one of my videos, Gibson raises the prices of their guitars. It's not a coincidence. So I'd get on that if I were you. Real quick, I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Cosmic Steez, A Horse Running, Solar Flare, Suno Verma, Rob Heath, Bad Joe Guitars, Brandon's Ballast Corner, Bandage Knives, Jan Chocolate, Leagues Beneath, Scott Toman, Master Chief, and Big Tills. These spicy Latinas are my current channel members, and their support really does mean a lot. If you want to join them, get a shout out in my longer videos, get access to the members only videos, and just help support this channel in a bigger way, then you can go down there, click the join button. Tiers start as low as 3 schmeckles. There's also the super thanks button down there if you just want to give me some money, but I'm done being a tool. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Farewell, lesbians.